Hey everyone, welcome to episode 75 of the Pickleball Effect podcast. I'm your host, Braydon.
And I'm Kyle.
We got our usual segments. We got weekly update. This will be a fun one though. We're going to debate the
Who's going to
matchups for the podcast host versus co-host battle. I didn't think we were going to do that. I was acting like we weren't going to do that last week. I was wrong. We are doing it. Kyle won't be there, unfortunately.
That's better for the hosts. Gives you guys more of a chance.
But I was really looking forward to beating down on you.
Yeah, right.
Just, usual programming.
Me and Isaac would have wrecked everybody.
So we'll talk through who's playing and what those look like, how I think those are going to shake up. We'll make some predictions. 3-0 to 5-0 is Kyle's today. Kyle's corner, talking
little local news, some PPA stuff. That's basically it.
And then Paddle, Babble, and Gear, we're going to do Diadem BluCore first impressions. Just discuss if we think Gen 4 is actually better than Gen 3 based off of now we have a bigger sample size than just the true foams. And then first impressions of the Gherkin Nightshade. You kind of surprised everyone last month when you put that on.
I did, and that's still currently my main.
Is it? Okay, so that's going to be 2 months in a row?
That's 2 months in a row that I've been playing the hybrid one.
So I have hit that a little bit. I have some thoughts, but you've obviously played it more, so I'll let you share your thoughts there, and I can add what I can there. Then we'll just talk about what we're testing next, potential reviews and things coming up. And then, as always, really good Q&A questions from y'all. Because everyone that listens, I guess, smarter than us. And they always have better questions than I do.
Yeah.
All right, weekly update. Let's go into the podcast battle. I want to just talk through these matchups. So this is going to ride the tail of the Adidas event. So I'm actually flying out today. We're recording Monday. We post these Tuesdays. So Tuesday's the Adidas thing. Wednesday, we're all staying and flying out later Wednesday. We're going to play Wednesday morning. So we're going to do host versus co-hosts podcast battle.
MLP style.
MLP style. So there's going to be 4 people per team. So there'll be our podcast. We'll have Pickleball Pursuits. We'll have Pickleball Studio. And then we'll have John and Eddie. Everyone will be there other than Kyle, unfortunately.
Brian from Building Pickleball will be subbing for me.
Brian is subbing.
He's been working. He's working.
And Brian has a few matches. We played together a fair amount, so I'm familiar with his game. But I went and watched. He had posted a video of him and a guy playing Justin and Lewis.
Okay.
I've seen Justin and Lewis, play a little bit, but I don't know. I'm not really super familiar with their games. So I just watched that to get an idea, a sense of how they play. Because I'll be playing with Lewis.
Yep.
And against Justin.
Justin likes that backhand.
Yeah, he's got an option there. And then for me, the dark horse, the unknown is Eddie. I've never seen Eddie play. I couldn't find any video of Eddie. No. I don't know what Eddie's going to bring.
No, I think he's pretty good too.
I get the sense that he's got some game. Yeah.
I think his duper's higher than John's, right? I think his duper.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know what he's going to bring to the table. And then definitely familiar with Chris and Isaac's game. So we'll be playing with Chris against Isaac. Yeah, I guess teams, if you don't know who's who. So the hosts will be me from Pickleball Effect. We have Chris from Pickleball Studio, Lewis from Pickleball Pursuit, and then John from QCast. Yep. Co-host will be filling in for Pickleball Effect is Brian from Building Pickleball. He's local to Austin. Yep. He just lives there. And then Justin from Pickleball Pursuit, Eddie from QCast, and then Isaac from
Pickleball
Studio. All right, so first matchup, MLP style. It's going to be me and Lewis versus Justin and Brian. I'm going to grab my phone. I put together my own little black book.
Oh, did you?
So while I'm pulling this up, you guys pick a winner and how you think that's going to shake out.
So you and Lewis definitely have the edge. As far as duper goes, and now that I've played with Lewis definitely can play much better than he talks about himself.
Yeah, no, he can play.
So if he shows up to play, I think you guys definitely have an edge over that game.
Yeah, when I'm looking at this, I think I pencil in Lewis and I we come out on top on this one. The some notes I made is just when I'm going into this stuff I'm going to think about. I put, I'm familiar with Brian. I'm going to target Brian on returns. He can be a little inconsistent with his drive. He'll give you some errors there. Depending on how he's feeling, his drop can be on and off a little bit. Excuse me. So I'm going to target Brian on returns. I think we can get some get some stuff there potentially. And then watching Justin play, he handles the drive okay, but he'll pop up some of those for some drive and crash opportunities. So when we do drive the ball, I think we drive it Justin. Brian can actually handle. Man, my throat.
Don't die.
Excuse me. Yeah, it's scratchy right now. I didn't drink much this morning, I guess.
Don't get sick right before the battle.
Brian can handle pace pretty well. He has a really strong backhand that handles drives. If you're not super particular on speed ups, he can punish you for it. So he can handle pace pretty well. I think we go after Justin if we're going to drive it. I think I'm going to worry less about. I mean, of course, you're going to pay attention, who's back, who's front.
Yeah.
But default, drive
it Justin,
and look for opportunities to crash. Playing Brian, he has that strong backhand counter, but he doesn't. So when you do speed up at him, he kind of leans heavy or just favors his backhand. So just speed up wings. Anything at his body is going to be pretty strong. But favor the forehand a little bit. I think he tends to kind of lean, move to his backhand for counters. So if you can go the forehand, that'll have more success there. And then I think the biggest thing with this team is, while Justin and Brian are no, schmoes or anything, they don't have like a strong left side presence. And so I like Lewis and I's chances at the net really well.
Your court coverage is going to be big too, because you guys definitely have the size on them as far as height.
Yeah, we got the height, but like with none of them being real like aggressive, having a lot of offensive options, I don't feel particularly threatened with what they can create, especially off the bounce. Like Brian has a tendency to speed up off the bounce on the forehand, but you go to his backhand, he doesn't really give you much. Justin has a nice little backhand flick, but if you make that bounce before in front of his backhand, he can't really do anything else with it.
Get out of the area.
And so if we can get to the net, we just favor their backhands. I don't think they're going to beat us on anything, and we just kind of make balls until they give us something, because they'll give us something if we stay in the point long enough. So I think with the main thought process for Lewis and I going to this, if we just forget everything else, it's just kind of play percentages against them. I think we have the advantage. Duper wise, we get to the net, we just stick to the backhands, just take away opportunities for them to find some offense, and they're going to give us something. So I think we just make balls, don't try to overcreate, and the percentages will work in our favor, and we'll get points there. I'm going to probably drop more than drive, just get up there and just work that. I think we can control the patterns because they have that lack of, they don't have that ability to reach in, create out of the middle. We can kind of move and dictate the dinking, which will give us lots of opportunities to take advantage. And also, if they do target Lewis, I feel like I can pinch and be a little more aggressive with my positioning without the fear of getting burned too much on my weak side. They might get me once or twice if I'm pinching hard and trying to relieve some pressure off Lewis. But I don't think they will be able to consistently dink behind me and speed up behind me without me getting back onto it or seeing it.
You'll be able to get back into
and being or reading it. And so I think I imagine that they'll probably hit more balls to Lewis. I think he'll see a higher percentage. But if I can pinch middle, make it difficult for them to find Lewis, it'll free up Lewis to do his thing and do what he's good at. And I don't see us losing that one.
And they might hyper focus on like trying to hit like the perfect drop, so you can't come over there and take it from them.
Right.
Which will cause them to hit some errors.
Yeah, it'll cause some errors, and it'll allow Lewis to just sit in his spot comfortably, do his thing without needing to be outstretched, worried what's going on. And so I feel pretty confident about that one. So hosts, I think we get first game. Okay, next game.
Last thing about that one though. Yeah. Are you guys going to coordinate short length?
I do have shorter shorts I'm bringing.
You should bring those just for the Lewis game.
I have some 5-inch inseams.
There you go. All right.
I won't be changing shorts in between matches, but I am wearing shorter shorts for Lewis.
Okay, perfect.
So if you guys don't follow Pickleball Pursuit, one of the things Lewis is known for are his ridiculous
he's got like
short shorts.
Well, he has short shorts and he's got like giraffe legs.
Right. The combination is not the most flattering, but he insists that he is the best looking in those things.
I love it. Confidence, that's what matters.
Yeah, that's half the battle. Next match, we have Chris and John versus Isaac and Eddie.
Oof.
What do you think on this one? So duper counts.
Yeah.
We have Chris and John at 8.66, Isaac and Eddie at 9.65. That's a full point.
So exactly. And from what I know, Isaac is better than Chris. Sorry, Chris. And I'm assuming Eddie is better than John, just based on dupers. I do think they have an edge. Obviously, I've never seen Eddie play, so I don't know. Isaac has played with both John and Chris, so he knows both their games. And I'm sure Eddie plays all the time with John.
Mm-hmm.
So I give the edge to the co-host on that one. I think you guys are taking game 1, and I think co-hosts are taking game 2.
Yeah, if I was to coach Chris and John in this one, I think I'd say, look, you're probably outmatched a little bit here, but that you're not out of it. Like there's still a possibility to win. And in these scenarios where I'm maybe the underdog, this is when you take chances. This is when you try to play, maybe get them out of a rhythm and play a little, not chaotic, a little controlled chaos, a little something that, maybe they don't expect from you, and just kind of try to get some points early, attack early, get them on their heels,
it's my
get
bread
them,
and butter right there.
kind of a little bit of like get them unhinged a little bit, kind of, mentally, be like, okay, what's going on? I feel pressure. And so I think you come out aggressive. And try to kind of just set the tone early and just be a little chaotic. And maybe you can find something, and then you can settle into your game and do your regular patterns and whatnot. That would be my advice for them. I think that's a tough win for Chris and John. Do I think it's possible? Yes. I do not think it's possible for Justin and Brian to beat us, but I do think this one is possible for Chris and John to win. But if we're playing odds, like, I'm going to give that one to Isaac and Eddie, though it's not a guarantee. And so we're 1-1 here going into the third match. Chris and Lewis versus Eddie and Brian. This one is a little bit more up in the air.
Yeah.
This could kind of go either way.
Yeah. I would say, honestly, the last 2 matches, I would flip a coin.
Yeah. These last 2 matches. So Chris was the one that put these games together. He
did a good job.
He did a good job. He did it with the intent of wanting a dream breaker.
Okay.
So he wanted the matches even enough where...
Well, no, and I think
that was a strong
honestly,
possibility.
it looks to me like game 1 looks like it's going to go to host. Game 2 looks like it's going to go to co-host. Game 3 and 4 looks like it could go either way very easily.
Yeah.
So I think there's a good chance for a dream breaker.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is very possible for either of these teams to win. Again, with this Chris and Lewis versus Eddie and Brian, it's a little bit of an unknown with Eddie.
Yeah.
And I know what I'm getting with Brian. I know what we can kind of target there and go after. I don't know that with Eddie. And so
I hope Eddie just shows up and just wrecks.
This will be Eddie's second game.
Okay.
And so we will have an idea.
Oh, that's true.
Of
how he plays
a little bit from that first one. So if we have a decent sample size, maybe we can create a game plan going into it with a couple of thoughts and looks that we want to go for. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what Chris and Lewis can pull out there against Eddie and Brian. That could totally go either way as kind of a coin flip. But yeah, I mean, same thoughts, similar as I had with Brian. I think there are some things you can go with. I think that he has some safe zones you can target when you're dinking. Just watch out for some of his strengths. With him, you don't want to be uber aggressive.
Yeah.
I think you can find more stuff being a little softer.
Make him create the...
Yeah, make Brian try to create.
Yeah.
Versus other things. I really know my words. All right, last one. I guess, I don't know. I guess Duper favors Eddie Brian there, but I don't know.
I also question, because Eddie's older, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, his Duper could also be all old. You haven't looked at his matches. And age doesn't, I know everybody's getting mad about Duper. It's all supposed to be the same. If you're playing with nothing but 5-0s that are 60 plus, it's different than playing 5-0s that are 30.
That's true. Is his Duper inflated?
No, I mean, it could be. You never know.
I don't know.
There's definitely some inflated Dupers out there. So.
Yeah, that could be a thing. But Chris and Lewis have played together before, so they're familiar with there. I don't think there's going to be any surprises on our team. They hopefully they meld, have a little game plan of their own that they'll take to that one. Last matchup, it'll be me and John versus Isaac and Justin. This is another tough one. So Isaac, he in this scenario where you have like a stronger and not as strong player, typically you'll target the weaker player, the one you're gonna think you can win more stuff off of, and then the other guy is gonna kind of poach, cheat, look for opportunities to step in. And Isaac is really, really good at that. He covers a lot of court.
Yeah, he's quick.
He can make up for some weaknesses of his partner because he's so quick and can cover a lot of court. And so I think the general game plan is to target Justin more so than Isaac. But in order to get to Justin, we have to break down Isaac. We can't allow him to feel comfortable in the middle. We can't allow him to cheat and find forehand flicks
to keep him
that I know he can
honest,
do. To keep him honest. And so if we're going to find Justin, we first have to hit some balls behind Isaac, keep him honest, keep him there, let him know that is available for us. We can't do that if he cheats too much. And then that'll open up to opportunities to attack Justin. I think in this scenario, I think one safe zone with Isaac is backhand bounce. If you can make a bounce on his backhand, he's not going to be too dangerous. He's pretty deadly out of the air with both his forehand and backhand. I don't think I'm going to be hitting like highly pressurized dinks to him. Like I'm not going to be looking for kitchen line little speeder dinks. I'm just going to keep it shallow and soft, and I don't think he'll do much with it. And if he does, John actually has a really strong counter. So if John's sitting in front of him, if we do stack, I don't know if we'll stack or play straight up, but whoever's in front of him can counter those better than other stuff. And so whoever's dinking to him, I think we dink to his backhand a couple of times, keep it shallow and soft. And then if we do have chances to go down the line on him, we at least, even if he counters it hard, we at least go there and show him that we're thinking that. And then take some chances on Justin, maybe take some stuff from below the net, look for some combos, try to create a little bit with Justin. Don't wait for opportunities to have a clear attack on him. I think against Justin, we can win more hand battles if we're aggressive there.
Got it. Yeah, I think so. I like that.
But Justin's no slouch. It's got to be a good speed up. He can do damage. It's not none of these things are gimmies. You have to still go there. I just think that's kind of the weaker of the lesser of the two evils.
Of the two, yeah.
But that's my game plan going in there. And again, I've seen Justin play a little bit just from that video last night, but I don't have the full sample size for him. And everything's a little different in a competitive scenario, right? Like everyone's feeling a little bit of nerves. Everyone plays maybe a little bit differently.
There's a lot of cameras running.
A lot of cameras running. A lot of there's more pressure here for this, I think, than like a tournament because more people are going to see this.
Yeah, 100%. Like at the tournament, just nobody's watching you at the tournament.
Right.
This is going to get posted on YouTube.
Right.
People are going to watch it.
Yeah. So there's a little more pressure there. How everyone handles that, I don't know. We'll see who shows up there and can handle that. But yeah, that'll be fun. So it'll be a total of 4 games. We're gonna post 1 game for each per channel. Excuse me. And so we'll have to talk about the order we're gonna publish these. But we're gonna do them 4 days in a row, 1 per each channel, and it'll just be sequential.
That's cool. I like that.
And so that'll be fun. You'll get to know all these guys and see all their channels if you haven't seen their stuff before through this series. I don't know. What do you think about that last game? Of course, I'm going to give it to me and John. I think we take him.
I flip a coin. That's going to be I think that's going to be a close one.
That is not a coin.
I don't know. We'll see. I like your confidence.
That is not a 50-50.
I like your
that's a 60-40 in our favor.
Okay.
We have the higher duper. John can counter. He can handle Isaac's stuff as long as I'm keeping my dink shallow.
It's the last game too, so Isaac's knee might be bugging him.
Yeah.
Okay.
His knee will be bugging him. We'll have to go do his physical therapy in between games on the side.
He's over there taking like cortisone shots on the side.
By that time, I will have broken him down with
mentally and physically
with my chatter. Isaac says he can handle me and that he's not scared, but he is. Oh man, I cannot wait to smoke Isaac.
The best is he's not going to have a time to even react to this because he's not going to see it till Tuesday.
Oh, I just love smashing it down his throat, dude.
Oh, I love it.
Anyways, this is gonna be really fun. Excited about this. I think part of the draw of going to the Adidas event was mostly just for this.
Yeah,
like the Adidas thing will be fine. It'll be interesting.
You guys are getting shoes.
We're getting shoes.
I know. I mean, no matter what the paddles are, Adidas shoes are awesome.
But this will be fun. We're playing at the lab. So this is where I was last month. The court is big.
It's got your logo.
It's got my logo. Yeah, my logo is gonna be all over this. But the space, there's lots of space, so plenty of room for cameras. It's gonna be a nice setup. We're gonna do a similar setup to what we did when they came down to here. So it'll be fun. It'll be well produced, and I think it'll be exciting.
That's awesome.
Okay, last couple things in weekly update. You have a thing here on Rubik's Cube?
Oh, yeah. So I bought a Rubik's Cube like 3 years ago, and it's like sat on my desk at work for 3 years.
Packaged?
No, but just not like I never even attempted to solve it. Like it just sat there, and one of my coworkers finally did it. It took him like 8 hours, and then I was like, you know what? I'll learn how to do it. And I've got it all the way. I can do it. I did it in 4 minutes, 11 seconds, and I'm like, I'm coming for you, Chris. I'm coming for you.
Quick learner.
Yeah. So,
You're a gamer. You got the
no, I know
you got the dexterous hands.
Well, no, like once I like memorized it, I'm like, this isn't too bad. It's like, but
so like, what's the next level? It's just memorizing patterns.
well, like the way I learned it, there's the next faster way is actually skipping the first step I learned and just skipping to the second step. There's a bunch of different ways you can do it, but I was showing the guys at work, Chris, do it like at his like TED talk, and it's wild how fast they do Rubik's cubes.
Yeah, all those guys, man, it's flying fingers.
I'm coming for you, Chris.
That'll be the next podcast. Host versus co-host battles, Rubik's cubes.
Rubik's cubes.
That's how we'll determine who serves first. Who can
I like that.
Chris is on my team, so I feel I'm pretty good about that.
We're never serving.
We are officially selecting that as the default way to decide who goes first. Last thing I'm going to say here for weekly update is I'm changing up how I do review videos a little bit. So for the last little while, I've been trying to come up with and think through ways. Okay, how do I cover more paddles than I currently am? Mm-hmm. And my original solution was, okay, you have your in-depth reviews, you have podcasts where you're talking about paddles, and then you have, I was calling them like quick looks or first impression type stuff. So I'm ditching the first impression type videos. Those took longer than I wanted. It wasn't really this easy, quick solution because they was still a big effort production-wise and scripting and all those things. So the way I'm thinking about it now is podcast is going to be reserved for first impressions. I've played this once or twice. Yep. Here's my quick hits, numbers. Here's the paddle. And then, of course, I'll have in-depth reviews still of the ones that people are most interested in, the ones I'm most interested in. And then I'm going to start doing what I'm calling a monthly paddle blitz. So there's a few channels that have started doing this, and I like the way they do it, where you essentially just get the 4 or 5 paddles that you've been playing, and you just do an unscripted review of just your thoughts on each one.
Okay.
So I'm gonna do that at the end of each month, calling it the monthly paddle blitz, where just catch up on stuff I've gotten, I've hit, have thoughts about, and I've recorded my first one of that for this month. I'm gonna post that on the 10th, and that's featuring the Engage Innovations. Okay. That's kind of the lead for that one, and then I have 3 other paddles that I'm gonna talk through. So that'll be a new series that I'm gonna do, and for reviews. And now I with this format of in-depth first impressions from podcast and then the monthly paddle blitz, I should be able to cover every single paddle that comes through my door in some
shape or form.
Yeah. And I like the idea of having different levels of kind of coverage. Yeah. So even if I do give a first impression review here and then I cover it later in a paddle blitz, I'll have a little more, have a more developed opinion. Plus the paddle blitz is not as hidden. Like if you want to go find some information, like we're going to talk about the BluCores today, say I don't do a video later on BluCores, it's, you don't know which podcast to go to. You have to dig through show notes to find information on it. And so that's how I'm going to think and approach reviews moving forward. And I feel good about that.
I like it.
Speaking of which, we do not have any videos from Dink Smash Media yet.
Oh, well, now I'm actually all set up. So I need to get on.
How many times have I heard this, Kyle?
Well, no, I'm set up because of the last podcast. So I am my little studio's like officially set up. So I do need to schedule some podcasts with some or some hop on a calls with some people now. I can do it now. It's ready to go.
All right.
I'm good. My office is ready to film. I got all my gear set up and I know how it all works.
Well, good. Hope to start seeing those start rolling in. I'm looking forward to that. All right, 3-0 to 5-0 is Kyle's. This section is brought to you by Holy. This is our hydration partner. They have in-game electrolytes, pre-game, post-game, and greens. A bunch of new flavors, really good stuff. Fun fact about electrolytes, okay? I think people associate electrolytes, or not everyone, right? But a lot of people associate electrolytes, there you go, only with cramping. Like it fixes cramping. And yes, it does do that, but it's much more than that. It's when you're properly hydrated from electrolytes, you're gonna have proper muscle function. You're gonna have more energy. You're gonna, of course, less fatigue with the muscles, less cramping or no cramping, and then it also helps with recovery.
Yeah, I was gonna say you recover better.
So you recover better. So there's a lot of advantages outside of cramping. Like even if you don't sweat a ton per se, you need to be taking electrolytes, especially now that it's hotter. It's summer. It's just
that's the best flavor.
It's a no-brainer. You like the raspberry?
Yeah, raspberry lemonade's that was unscripted, by the way.
Yeah, you owe me one of those, dude. I got a limited supply.
I know. No. Send more. That is my favorite flavor, though, by far. I drink them at work.
Yeah, I have one every time I play. And so go check out the link in the description, and you can use the code PBEFFECT for a discount. And gives you it's a pretty good deal versus other stuff. Plus, they have the free sample thing we've talked about a bunch. Okay, 3-0 to 5-0.
All right, 3-0 to 5-0. So an important tip is a lot of times, especially early on in your pickleball career, like we are dinking to just dink because we see people dink and we know that's what we're supposed to be doing. So we're like dinking without a purpose. So my tip today is basically what to think about while you're dinking. We're not dinking just to dink. We're dinking in hopes that we can cause either a pop-up or a ball to be slightly high enough that we can attack it and create some offense. Once you get in those higher levels, you don't typically just flat out hit winners with dinks. So you're aiming to cause a pop-up. And another point of this though is also you need to be considerate of your partner and your court positioning. So and this will happen. A lot of people watch pro games and they see this like cross court. What'll happen with amateurs is you're so focused on trying to hit that huge cross court dink, and your partner has slid over with you. And you're basically, if you're going to leave it up a little high because you're not pro, so your dink's just going to be a little high, and they have all that open space behind your partner. So I'm not a huge fan, unless you have a very good, aggressive cross-court dink, I like to aim for basically it'd be their inside foot or the middle, or if they're really far over, then you go wide. But you need to be considerate of where your partner is in relation to you when you're thinking about where you're dinking. That's basically it. So think about your dinks. You're dinking to cause a pop-up or a ball to just be slightly high enough that you can take it out of the air. And if you can take it out of the air, always take it out of the air. Like, don't let balls bounce that don't need to bounce.
That's something I keep getting coached on repeatedly. I've done a few of these learning with pros, and that's come up in every single one. Is Braydon, you need to reach in, use your length, take more stuff out of the air. Even if it's just a dink, do that more often.
It cuts down their reaction time.
I'm doing that all the time.
Yeah.
Apparently I don't do that.
No, and it does it like it cuts your reaction time. Even if it is like another dink, but it's out of the air, like all of a sudden they're like on their heels because it came so much quicker than if it would have bounced and then they had the time to, set up.
Right.
So
that's good. Why do you think you see more dinking kind of in the 4.0 plus than you do lower levels?
I think we see dinking at higher levels because we all respect each other's hands a little more. And at the higher levels, you're not just going to blast it by people as often. So like when you're a 3.5, if you have a good drive, you can just drive through people all the way up to probably actually like 4.25 getting up there. I think as you get higher, you have to learn how to dink because you're not just going to blast it by people all the time.
Yeah. Dinking is a way to make it harder for your opponent to attack, right? Like you're trying to make it hard for them to attack and then create opportunities for yourself to attack, I think is the kind of the core game theory around dinking. And yeah, dink with purpose. I like that. But yeah, it is interesting how early on you just don't see dinking as much because it's not needed. It's not, you can have success speeding it up and people's volleys aren't as strong. And then as everyone's game, as you play better people, your game progresses, volleys get stronger, you get punished for driving it. There's some people I just don't even drive to. Like when I play, Lucas here, I just don't drive to his backhand.
No, definitely not.
He's going to just punish you for it. It just doesn't make sense. And so the dropping, the dinks, the soft stuff is meant to reduce their ability to attack. And
at the lower level, you don't see that. Like you don't feel like it's as necessary, even though it is.
Yeah. If you can,
if you want to, that's a
depends on your hands.
Yeah.
If you have decent hands,
and it depends on like what your goal in pickleball is. Like if you want to get better and play better and better people, you're going to have to learn those skills because you're going to have to be able to neutralize their attacks.
Yep. I've heard that before from players who are trying to get better, who are just reaching 4.0, trying to break that. They tell me, I'm trying to dink, I'm trying to play it right, but everyone's just speeding up and it's not working. And I just tell them, keep at it.
Yeah. Or dink better.
Dink better, improve your hands. So you punish them because you get to be able to punish them for their
what
does Tyson call it?
Premature ataculation.
Premature ataculation. Yeah. You have to be able to punish people for attacking premature in order to get into those rallies and make it useful.
No, and even like at the levels we play, I typically do just let one rip before they have to prove that they can stop it before I am forced to dink.
Exactly.
Like I'll hit drives all day long if you can't block them or if you can't punish me for hitting drives.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So if I'm going to give you a tip, I think with dinking is first get better with your hands, get better with your counters, get better, punish people for making silly attacking decisions.
Yep.
And then dink.
Yeah. No,
I don't think you go learn dinking first.
No.
And then you have to go learn hands. You have to punish people. You have to be able to utilize the dinking.
I think that will show you more why you need dinking too. I like that.
Yeah. So I think that's the progression there. But yeah, you're totally right. I love that. Dink with a purpose and be conscious of where, the movement of where your partner is. And
yeah, because we've all done it where we've hit one super cross and like they're all the way on the tee line and then you're like, oh, sorry.
That didn't
got
work
you
out.
blown up. My bad.
All right, Kyle's Corner brought to you by Slice.
Slice.
I've been emailing all these companies asking them for fun facts to kind of change up these ad reads a little bit. But Slice has the weighted end coins and butt caps to bring your balance points down, makes heavier paddles feel lighter at the net. Fun fact about Slice is all their products are manufactured in their own workshop.
Yep.
I believe they're out of Arizona.
They are out of Arizona.
And
machined right in house.
Yeah, it's super cool. And all of their materials are American-made materials. So really cool fun fact about them, and their stuff is so legit, very high quality. Like these Slice caps, you can just reuse over and over, assuming it fits.
Yeah, and it fits
whatever paddle.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and they fit more paddles than you would think. Like there's only like so many different types of end caps. So like if I don't know, I'll like message David, and I'm like, hey, what else would this fit?
Yeah. Yeah, they're super responsive that way. And if it is a little big, you just use the athletic tape to get it to fit nice and snug. All right. Kyle's Corner.
Let's start off with the local news. I don't know if you saw this, but the main and original club that was basically built in Boise for pickleball has officially announced that they are shutting down.
I know.
BAPA.
What do you think about that?
I knew it was coming because I'm a little sad because like that was how my introduction to pickleball
Me too.
was, like playing the like bringing a can of food tournaments and like all that stuff. So like it hurts a little bit because I'm like, that's how I got started playing pickleball. Like they did a great job introducing the sport to the community. They did a lot for the schools and all that stuff. I think once companies came and started like really investing in pickleball, Flying Pickle, S2, I think they made some bad moves that basically hurt them.
BAPA did?
Yes. I think because like you still have Boise Pickleball Club and they basically attached themselves to S2, which I think was smart.
Well, who's Boise Pickleball?
So that's like the group. It's another club that's run basically out of Manitou. Like, have you been down there and seen like they have nets that are chained
been there
up?
in ages.
Okay, so they have like net. It's similar to BAPA, smaller, but they attach themselves to S2. So they use S2 as like their home court, which I think was smart because then they have access for their clinics and they run like clinics every Wednesday and Friday.
They didn't
BAPA,
do that.
Well, BAPA latched on kind of to the Eagle Tennis Club, who sold to Lifetime. So I think they put their eggs in the wrong basket.
That's what happened.
And now I don't think they're in a position where they can really bring that much value to like Flying Pickle, because Flying Pickle's got a wait list of over 100 people now.
Yeah. I think the big draw and what made BAPA successful originally was the programming. There was no indoor locations. There was no programming.
Nothing.
They made tournaments. They did weekly events where you show up, organized open
round
plays, round robins.
robins.
And so I think that was the big draw to them. And that's how you could get in, because it's hard to find people to play with.
Yeah,
you need some sort of organized open play thing to get in. It makes it so much easier to get involved with pickleball, and they provided that.
Yeah.
But now that you have that in abundance with S2, Flying Pickle, the need for them
is going away,
is fading.
Yeah. I almost wish they could have found a way to like somehow ingrain themselves with schools or something to like, but
maybe if they had integrated early with the Flying Pickle and made some programming with them in conjunction, like
Tuesdays BAPA day, and we're running these clinics,
maybe
something. But
a lot of appreciation for them.
They did a great job.
They were awesome. That when I first joined, I paid my $10 or whatever to be a member, because everyone told me you got to go join BAPA. They did stuff, and I was like, all right, and I did it.
That was it, and then. We got to play in all those round robins,
they
and
did
tournaments
and stuff.
Yeah,
it was
great. So thanks, BAPA.
Thank you, BAPA.
All right, PBA. We need to stop using these
PBA.
I know, I'm Italian. I talk with my hands. These stupid rollout courts. Like, they got to stop. Like, at the professional level, when you have pros, so Annalie didn't play singles because they used rollout courts.
So they were on tennis court surfaces. This was North Carolina.
Yeah, but they roll out
But they brought out rolled.
I don't want to say the brand because I might get it wrong, and I know last
But
time
they brought out rolled out courts
we'll
on
roll out
top
courts.
of
yes
the tennis courts.
Yes.
And there were complaints about low bounces.
and then Annalie slipping.
Annalie talked about
She rolled her ankle really bad on one of those courts.
rolling
I guess
her ankle on them. So something about the surface or
Yeah.
that, or maybe just the combination of the permanent court and roller court.
I think
just
like
isn't the
when
same.
they did it indoors in Vegas and they rolled it out, there was like terrible spots like where they had rolled it over like
that was more the venue
Yeah.
than the rollout courts. This one is just the rollout.
But I think
courts.
they've had issues at every event that's used rollout courts, and I almost think it's like when you have that product because you're like showcasing this product and you have pros pulling out because you're using that product. Like it's almost like negative marketing.
Yeah.
Like when the number one player in the world's like, I'm not playing on that. Like, should you guys even be using that? Like, that
Right.
doesn't make me want to buy it if she doesn't want to play on it.
So Annalie and Ben both pulled out, referencing
Rollout
kind
courts.
of like the health factor.
Mm-hmm. But that opened it up to new people winning gold. So we got Gabe Tardio taking his first, like a singles gold and men's doubles gold. That's pretty awesome.
Who did Gabe take out in the semis? Somebody had to be fed. Who was it?
Oh man, who did he beat in the? I don't know who he beat.
This is your job, Kyle.
Well, no, because he played. Did Roscoe?
You're the draw
well,
master.
I think Roscoe beat. Well, because Roscoe, that was Roscoe's first finals too. I think.
Yeah, Roscoe Bellamy. He plays a head paddle. Made it to the finals.
Yeah. And I think he was a big deal in tennis too, because I know when he first came on the scene, there was a lot of chatter about him.
Yeah, I don't know his particular history of tennis, but I know the Bellamy's in general is like a well-known tennis family within the tennis professional community.
And then Fahey, your girl Fahey, finally gets a gold.
So proud of her.
I'm so happy because like she was getting a lot of flack last week from like her hitting herself in the face with a paddle. Did you watch that video?
No.
Oh,
what did she do?
Well, she gets like angry and she just like bashes her head with her paddle like so hard that I'm like, oh my, like
a little scary.
Oh, a little bit. Like I don't think I'd want to meet her in a dark alley. Like, she might beat me up.
Yeah,
but I was glad that she got.
I'm
gold.
always cheering on Kate. Yeah. I like Kate a lot.
Fierce competitor.
I did watch that one because I knew she was playing. It was against Paris Todd. Did you watch it?
I didn't get to watch it.
So the quick hits here is Kate and Paris have. I get the sense there's a little bit of a rivalry there. Very different, right? Paris is this play slow in between points, very calm, cool kind of style, and Kate's just this fiery mega competitor, bulldozer, and so Kate or Paris, where was it? It's best out of three. So Kate lost the first. In the second, Kate was down, I want to say 7-3.
Oh, dang.
She ends up barely winning. Yeah. It was 11-9 or 12-10 or something like that. So she was struggling with her forehand, finds a way, comes back in game 2, and then handled game 3 pretty well. And so the fact that she stayed in it, she's struggling, just really found some mojo, crawled out, somehow pulled that second game out, and then finished it in the third. So it was always fun to see her have success.
And then the last note from that PBA, there's lots of new winners. You had the Flash ladies taking down ALW and CP.
That's a big deal.
Tyra and Georgia, that's a big win. I love that.
Not only did Georgia beat women's, she also wins mixed, right?
Yeah, that's great. That's wild.
Yeah, so Georgia had the double gold in mixed.
I wonder if that was her first double gold too. Then probably.
I think it's her first golds.
Period. No, I feel like her and JW have to have had at least one gold. I'd have to go back and look. I'm sure it's one that Ben and Annalie weren't in.
Yeah,
but
maybe. But yeah, they and Georgia was the hero in both mixed.
She's been looking good,
both mixed and women's. She was phenomenal.
She's so fun to watch. She has such a good attitude.
Yeah,
like if you look at because I know that their attitudes get to be like she just always seems like happy. I mean, even when we were at like MLP Salt Lake, she was like dancing and stuff between games.
You just can't help but cheer for Georgia and cheer for Georgia. After they won the mixed game, she goes in and gives JW just this huge hug, and she just holds on to it for about at least 10 seconds. So you can tell JW was going in for a high five, and then she jumps on him, and he's like, "Yeah," and then he has like his paddle hand out here, and after about 3-4 seconds, he finally
does he just close his stoic look?
And he's just like, "Oh, this is great, thanks, Georgia."
Get off me, sis.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, but really happy for them. Like really cool to see that. Ben and Annalie are starting to get pushed in mixed. They're still the best, most dominant team, but their last finals, it's been they lose a game.
Yeah.
They don't just sweep everybody every time. It's not just these 11-5, 11-6 score lines anymore.
Pickleball needs that. That's good.
And so it's fun. And did Georgia just have a good weekend? I don't know. She figured something out?
She has been looking better and better. So
yes.
And Tyra's gotten so much better too. So that women's team's a good team.
Yeah, that's Dallas Flash right there. So MLP starts this month. I think the next event is MLP. So we'll see those pairings again.
And that concludes Kyle's Corner.
Okay. Paddle, Babble, and Gear brought to you by ADV. So these guys, this is the backpack I've been using for a while. I'm a huge fan of it. Feature of the day is their cooler here. This is where I put the balls. So this is an easy dedicated space for balls, or you can use it as a cooler, but that'll keep your balls from melting in the sun and or snacks. Fun fact, they have a 10-year warranty on these bags. So
I didn't know that.
They obviously believe in their product. They're confident that everything's going to hold up for a long time. And with warranties, if you have a 10-year warranty, generally you're safe with warranties, right? So you'll say 10-year warranty, but it's likely going to last a lot longer than that. And so and they have some updates coming out.
I was going to say, are you allowed to talk? I know I missed that call, but I saw the cliff notes that they got some new stuff coming.
They got some new stuff coming, and they're making some updates to this bag that just are small but
meaningful,
very welcome. Yeah. And so they're always iterating, they're always making things better. So anyways, if you need a backpack, this is a high quality, it's a larger bag, really good. ADV bags, link in the description. You can use the code PBEFFECT and it brings it just over $200 and it'll last you guaranteed 10 years.
10 years.
They'll replace it.
And it fits in an airplane.
It fits in an airplane. I'll be taking it to Austin this week. All right. Paddle, Babble, and Gear. I guess I already said that. Let's talk Diadem BluCore first impressions.
BluCore.
So they sent me 3 of these.
Ooh.
I have the standard 14, the max 19, and the pro 16. So they're going to launch these.
Whoa, that's a thick boy.
Yeah. They have they're still a month or so away until they launch these, but they're launching with 9 models. It's a ton of models.
That's the biggest paddle release I've ever heard of.
Yeah, it's going to be wild.
They're all in on this core.
They are all in on this core. And so the way they're organizing it, they have 3 shapes and 3 thicknesses. So they're elongated as their pro. That's elongated with an extra long handle. Then they have the standard, which is elongated with a shorter 5.25 inch handle. And then they have the max, which is a wide body style with a shorter 5-inch handle. Some people have been giving them flack on their naming scheme here. Yeah. There's established naming conventions, right? You have elongated, you have your hybrids, then you have standard and wide body. And so I think that was a little bit of a miss. I think they'll be confusing to some people to have an elongated paddle called their standard. Is it that big of a deal? Maybe not, but I do think that kind of it's a little out of touch. I think a little bit with that call. And that, in addition to that, like this shape is their wide body shape. It has a 5-inch handle. This is very short. I don't know. Do you see a reason to have a 5-inch handle anymore?
Not anymore.
I think the shortest any brand should go is 5.25. 5.25 is short enough for people who only play one hand, where they're happy with the amount of paddle surface you have. But then if you do play 2, you can still squeeze 2 on there, and then you can have longer handle options. And so having this shorter handle on the wide body, or this extra short handle, and then calling this a standard is, I think a little bit of a
miss.
A little bit of a miss just on that stuff. But is it the worst thing in the world? No. I actually like this paddle quite a bit from when I played it, and I wish they I wish they handle. But I have one hand, and it's
okay. So you can choke up and still make it work. Yeah,
make it work, but it's still pretty tight. Then the 3 thicknesses. So they have the 14, a 16, and then a 19. Yeah. All the 19 millimeter models have a triple layered core. So they have 2 layers of foam sandwiching Kevlar, like a honeycomb Kevlar, just like their
Warrior.
Their Warrior.
Yeah.
So it's the same Warrior core,
but with foam instead of the. Okay, that's cool.
And then all the others are just pure foam. So this is what the material looks like. They send everyone these cubes, which is pretty cool.
That was cool.
So it's an EPP foam. It stands for expanded polypropylene. And did they send you one too?
Yeah, they sent me one.
So yeah,
that was such a cute little package. I was like, "What's in this?"
Yeah. And so it is blue. Reading through their marketing, they said the purpose of the blue is beyond just being different. They said that dye actually had a performance little impact versus maybe no dye or something. And so it was blue intentionally. Plus, I think it's a good way to market your paddle,
Differentiate yourself, yeah.
So calling it the BluCore, I think, is a really clever name.
And then they did the clear bottoms where you can see the blue.
Yeah,
and I think he did say that way. It's an actual, like, not like a copy too.
Yeah, that's just cool. And these, they didn't market this, but I noticed you can actually, this clips off. The butt cap does. And so you could fill the core, but you can also put in like tungsten putty to weight it up if you want.
Whoa!
This is the first guys to do butt cap like that, and so I love that actually.
That's brilliant.
So you don't tennis rackets are this way. This is how a tennis racket.
They are a tennis company.
Yeah, and so the handle weighting in tennis is very common, but they don't use those little coins that we people have been using. They use weighted tungsten putty, and you just clip it out and you put it in there.
No, and I've heard of people doing that with pickleball paddles too, like pulling the butt cap off and shoving putty in it and putting it back. Or even, I know somebody that will just put like silicone caulking in there for extra weight and throw it back.
Yeah, something like that. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that's neat. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but so this is our third full foam core now. We have the True Foams. We have the 008 Pure Foam from Selkirk, and now the BluCore. This is the one that has the most options.
Yes, by far.
By far. I guess one other note about these is that they did change up the edge guard. When you look at it, it's actually pretty slick.
Yeah,
have you seen that much? Look at it.
No, I was looking at it from the side. I'm like, what did they use?
I'm not sure what they use. It feels.
I bet you it's a lot stronger than like the typical one. I bet you that's why they did it.
Yeah, it could be, and it feels more intentional than other edge guards.
Mm-hmm.
All the other edge guards were just countertop stuff, just brought over. This feels like it was made for pickleball,
and then it's got like Diadem imprinted in it. That's kind of nice. That's kind of a nice little touch.
And it looks sleeker. It's not as bulky.
Yeah, it kind of looks like
it wraps around it a little more.
When I look at it with the light, it kind of looks like it's almost like rhino liner, like bed liner.
Oh, a little bit, yeah. So it's pretty cool. I like that. One downside, however, is
the tape debacle.
The tape debacle. So other channels have noticed this. It was the same for me. So I just did a 2-hour drill session with these. I'm only experienced with these so far, but you see how it's peeling off there. And so I kept pushing that down. And my tungsten is known for being very sticky. Like when you put it on a normal edge guard, and after it sits for more than a day and you peel it off, it's going to leave some residue, and it adheres really well. Some people see that as a con, that it leaves a little bit of residue, and the way to fix that is to use a lighter adhesive so that it peels off easier. But when I use a lighter adhesive, stuff like this can happen. I don't want this to happen, and so I chose to use a stronger adhesive and deal with the residue. So if you've ever used my tungsten, that's why that is the way it is. And something about tungsten and the adhesive and glue, it just does that more than lead tape for whatever reason. I did not put lead tape on it, but in the pickleball studio thing, Isaac had mentioned that he used lead tape strips and they just fell right off.
Yeah.
And
so the I talked to Diadem too. They said that the actual tape does do better than like the little pods, like your pre-cut stuff. He said that stuff actually does worse on this than like actual just a roll of tape.
So some people messaged me and said, you could put some electrical tape on it and it'll stick better. And so there are workarounds for it, but that is annoying.
Yeah.
So particularly just because these need weight.
Yeah.
This 14 needs some weight for it to kind of bump up just what it needs. So the balance points are all actually very low on this.
Okay.
So I wanted to put weight on them and tinker with them because it kind of gives you the availability to do that with the way they're weighted.
I like the look of them. I like the minimal. They didn't go too crazy with the branding.
No, they look great. So. And then face sheet wise, it's a Kevlar carbon fiber blend.
Yeah, I saw that
on the front. I'm not sure what's behind it, but that's those pieces. Let me pull up the numbers. Maybe I haven't sorted it yet. Oh, here we go. Okay. So the BluCore standard, this is the elongated with the shorter 5.25 inch handle. I just wish this handle was on here. Like you can, even with 5.25, you can see the difference in handle length.
Oh yeah.
Like that makes such a big difference when you're holding it. Anyways, BluCore standard 14 millimeter. Mine weighed 7.8 ounces, had a swing weight of 107, so very light.
Wow, for an elongated?
Mm-hmm. And then had a twist weight of 5.58. Okay. They actually measure a little small. They're more of like a hybrid length.
Okay.
And so that could contribute to the lighter swing weight. So it's not a true elongated, but that was their intention, I think. So really, really light, and they feel extremely maneuverable, really quick at the net. And so, but they do lack a little plow through, a little punch.
But you got a lot of room to add weight. So you're right. You need to be able to add
you
weight.
You need to be able to add weight, and so I'll have to mess with some smudge clip or the edge tape that I make. I think that might stick to it better. Which it may not be a bad thing, because having that, you just have to plan for it.
Yeah.
Knowing, okay, if I'm going to put edge tape on top of this, just put 1 gram less of tungsten and then put that on top.
I'm also curious. I'll probably try like some of your tape and then the weight on the outside of the tape and see if that sticks any better. Like if you put like electrical tape and then
put this on top of that.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes more sense than going over top, and then you can take it off easier if you ever need to. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's probably the play.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it that way.
I'm gonna get some of my edge guard tape after this. And then, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, just put that in this zone.
Because then you're not having to peel that all the way off to adjust your weight and stuff.
Yeah,
hopefully, unless yours adheres so good to your edge tape that it rips the edge tape right back off.
That makes a lot of sense.
So,
okay, and then the Pro 16 millimeter, which is the elongated with the longer handle, mine weighed 8.1 ounces, so a little bit heavier than the other one. Swing weight of 112, so still very light. And then still lower twist weight of 5.81. And then the Max.
The big boy.
This one is 19 millimeters, has the triple layer core, came in at 8.4 ounces.
There we go.
And then had a swing weight of 108 and a twist weight of 7.45.
Ooh.
So the numbers on this are actually really attractive.
That sounds fun.
And I love that this comes in at 8.4 ounces, but still has that 108 swing weight.
Yeah.
So with these ones, this lower balance point, I think and not having that extra weight makes them need weight. But the way this is set up, where you have the lower balance point, but you have the extra weight, balances it all out really nicely. And this thing just, like, there's just not a dead spot on here. It's like this huge, fat, sweet spot that you just can't miss. Still very light. I didn't feel like I needed to add weight to get any plow through, because it's 8.4 ounces. Like, you feel the weight and it's going through the ball. So the way the Max is weighted feels great.
Okay.
And this one was my favorite of the three.
Your only gripe is just you want a little bit longer handle.
Yeah, that's my only gripe so far with this one. It actually has some punch to it. These ones were a little softer. I would say like an aggressive control or like a weak all court is kind of where this is. I had the 008 Selkirks with me, or just the 13 millimeter Invicta, and these weren't quite as powerful and poppy as the 008 Invicta was. And that one's not like this juicy power, right? And so definitely first impression was softer. I'm going to go run the power and pop numbers later this week, but not super lively with these, which can be a pro and a con depending on what you're looking for. But this one has like something about, I don't know if it's the shape, the weight, or most likely the triple layer core. It's just more lively, has a little more to it. Since the 008 and now these with these 100% full foams, no cutouts, no anything, the foam itself, at least the stuff that complies with USAP, regulations and rules, they don't have a lot of oomph to them.
Okay.
They need something to liven them up a little bit. And this triple layer core did that for me with this. This was poppier, more powerful. Just had everything that you wanted more out of this. I would put this, first impressions is like dead center all court, maybe a little bit more.
Okay.
I need to go get a better sense for it, but just very light still and just huge sweet spot.
I'm curious what the different thickness is. So they're probably going to stick to the triple layer no matter the thickness on this model?
Correct. So so there's going to be a standard 19 that has the triple core. There's going to be a Pro 19.
So anything that's 19 is going to have the triple core.
Correct.
Okay.
So they're going to have a 14 millimeter version of this. That's
just the foam.
Yep.
Okay, I got it now.
Yep, and a 16. And so I obviously don't have them all. I just have these three, but this gives you a pretty good idea of the whole series.
So the triple core might actually be really promising on these ones too.
Potentially, yeah. And so I'm most interested in this one. And those those were kind of my first impressions of where these at. The spin felt okay. I'm curious what the numbers are going to be there. Sometimes I felt like I was shaping it well, and other times it felt a little flatter. But this one was the standout for me, and not just because I'm a wide body standard guy. I just think the tech and the way this particular one is built worked. the best.
And if the sweet spot's as big as you said, I mean, anytime you can get a more forgiving paddle that still plays well,
yeah,
I mean that's good play.
So this one is promising. Very interested in playing more with this one. The sweet spots on here, I mean, just as you expect, like they're lighter weight, low twist weight. They just need the weight to benefit there. So the sweet spots out of the box on the 14, it was just so. Mm-hmm. I hit the 16 for a second. I didn't spend a ton of time with this one. It was mostly just these two. And so I'll have more thoughts on the 16 later. Maybe the 16 has a little better sweet spot there. But the twist weights weren't particularly great. But those were first thoughts there. As I was playing more with the 008s, I kind of just had this question of, I was so big on foam cores with the carbons. I was really, really excited about them. And then the two subsequent ones with the 008s, and then these are making me think, okay, is Gen 4 actually better than Gen 3, or is this just a lateral move, more of just another option?
I think that depends on what you're looking for. I think if you're like, as a normal consumer, 1,000%, because the durability, like even these, like they're guaranteeing these cores for life. There's lifetime warranty.
Oh, really? That's a big deal.
Yeah, huge deal. So I think if you're wanting to get the most life out of your paddle, yes. If you think Gen 4 is automatically better, like playing wise, no. I don't think so. I think it's just a different option.
And we're still so early with foam.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we're going to see a lot more variations down the road as they learn to use foam to their advantage. Like, for example, I think part of the reason why this Max works is because it's a combination of the Kevlar core with the foam.
Yeah.
So the Kevlar gives it a little more, but the foam keeps it softer. Another example is the 008 10 millimeter, where historically 10 millimeters were just so hard to play with.
Yeah, I couldn't stand it.
And they have a really harsh feeling, and they're just kind of difficult to connect with, but they have the benefits of the extreme maneuverability and that easy pop.
Mm-hmm.
The 10 millimeter 008 is the play on that one because it's more lively, but it still has that foamy feel. The feel on these, they feel great.
Mm-hmm.
I part of the attraction to foam cores for me is just the intuitive feel they give you. All of these felt fantastic. I actually like the feel of these over the 008s. Remember how we kind of noted the 008s have a little different feel from the baseline to kitchen
100%,
play?
Yeah, depending on how you swing.
Yeah, and so these aren't like that. These are more consistent.
Okay.
It feels the same from the back and the front, and so I do like that with these over the 008s. But they're just not quite as lively as I was hoping, at least with these other two models. And I'll go run numbers and keep testing. Maybe that changes a little bit, but that was what I was thinking. But I just think foam needs something to boost it up, to liven it up, because on its own, it doesn't seem to be giving you all the performance characteristics we want in kind of like a modern day, more like offensive paddle. Because while these may be great control paddles, I can go get a polypropylene core equally good as control for $200 less.
Yeah,
the performance difference just isn't enough to justify the price for me. But then you get this where this like Max, where it is unique. Like you get this huge sweet spot. You get the more comfortable feel with a little more power, that stuff you just can't get from a polypropylene, right? So I just think foam needs something. This has the triple layer core, carbon has the cutouts, something to just give it a little boost. Extra. Even if it's just fiberglass layers, because the core is so soft that it's going to make up for that harsher feeling of fiberglass, and maybe fiberglass gives it the boost it needs. I don't know. But I just think foam needs something beyond
just foam.
Just foam.
Yeah.
And the foams that we have play tested with, like the flicks and stuff, that were super juicy.
Yeah.
I think in order, whatever foams that are used that pass, just can't produce what that
not like that.
Doing,
yeah, that's
right?
why that one's illegal.
And so, it seems like foam needs partners and needs something to work with it.
I'm excited to try these.
But I do think the performance possibility is bigger, because you can mix this with stuff and get these unique combinations of more offense in combination with improved feel, which is kind of that black box.
Yeah, like how you used to always sacrifice, like the more power you got, you were sacrificing some control. Now we are going to be able to actually make up some of that.
Blend some of that, And so I think that's the promise of foam. But still going to play these, still really interested in these. I think these are going to retail for $280, particularly interested in the Max, and I'm going to see if I can get their longer shapes in their Max and see how those play. That seems to be, to me, the most attractive build style and model. It's just a really nice combination of the added weight.
Braydon playing a 19 millimeter paddle.
I know. I like.
It's been a minute.
I like the thinner ones usually, but that one was attractive. I like that. And then yours are coming soon. You'll have to give your first impressions.
Yeah, they might already be here. I don't know. I talked to them this morning, but they went to a different house. So.
Oh, gotcha.
So, just like Selkirk just sent me a box to a house that I owned years ago, and I don't even know how they got the address.
Oh, really?
I was like, I've never used that address. Like,
okay,
the Nightshade.
we're coming up on an hour already.
Dang. All right,
You go by fast. So
we'll go quick.
This is the paddle you've been maining.
The Gherkin. Yeah,
Hold her up.
the Gherkin.
Be proud. Tell us about it.
The Gherkin. So what do we got? We got 10 millimeter cell, CFC layup. Is it 14 mil? I think it's 14 mil. Yeah, 14 mil. I prefer the hybrid over the elongated. It's very maneuverable. To me, it plays like a more forgiving paddle tech. I thought.
Power level compared to Paddle Tech, what do you think?
Oh, I would probably say, without even looking at the numbers, I would say it's probably a hair lower, but I wouldn't say it's much.
So with no weight on it, my power test was pretty low power wise. It was like 40-ish%.
Okay.
Pop was
I have weight on it, so
Pop was good. It was around 80%. Trying to find it here, but it's not super powerful, at least out of the box. Yeah, it was 27% power, 67% pop.
I guess that makes sense for me though, because I do typically gravitate towards lower power, higher pop.
So maybe that's why you liked it.
Yeah, because I like to win firefights at the kitchen.
This is one of the paddles where weight does wonders for it.
Yes, and that was the first thing I did was add weight to it.
Out of the box, it has a twist weight of 6.15, a swing weight of 113, and then an 8-ounce static weight. It felt lighter than 113 to me out of the box. It moved really easy. I thought that was kind of one of the strengths, was just how quick and easy it was with the decent pop.
Mm-hmm.
But not out of this park.
No
power and pop, like pretty easy control. Feel wise, it doesn't feel too harsh.
No, I was gonna say it actually felt
too
pretty
firm for a 14.
For being a 14 and then the CFC, I thought it was gonna be stiffer than it actually is.
Yeah, I wonder if the wider 10 millimeter cells softened
Made
it
it
up
a little softer.
bit. But yeah, it wasn't as juicy as I expected, but it's still good. But when you look at the price of this in connection with its performance, really solid.
Yeah, it makes it a really good budget option.
This launches on the 15th. It's gonna retail for $135 before
the code. Yeah,
and I can't remember if it's $10.
I think it's $10.
I think it's $10.
I'm almost positive it's $10.
It'll be $125, which at $125, this is a great paddle.
Yeah,
you don't have a lot of hybrid options kind of in that less expensive space. You pretty much just have Vatic.
Yeah.
Can you think of any other less expensive hybrid? I guess you have the Jelly Bean Vapor.
You have the Vapor. And I was going to say then you had like the Invader, but the Invader's 160.
Yeah, it's not like a true budget option.
Yeah.
And so it's a really good budget option at $125. Just with weight, it's pretty middle of the road, all court. I think maybe there's nothing about it that says, "Oh, this is incredible." But it plays
well.
great.
Yeah, I'll say it plays well.
But it plays really well. And if it matches your style. like you sounds like, that kind of medium pop, higher power, medium
power,
higher pop.
Yeah.
It's a good combination.
Yeah. No, I would say that's what I like. I feel like it's decent for resets. I get to and then I get to the line and then I can flick the crap out of it. Like,
yeah, it's pretty light. Even with weight,
so
it still moved really well for whatever reason. Maybe that's the combination of the 14 millimeter plus the hybrid. But no, I enjoyed it. I picked it up, was playing well with it like immediately, and I didn't think I was lacking or missing anything. I was like, I wish it was giving me a little bit of this. Like it performed well for what it is. And I think they did a good job with it. They did.
I don't know a lot of people are hating on the design, but you could put Nightshade on there a few more times. But
it's a unique design. It stands out at the very least. But this is almost like one of those paddles. Do you ever get the way where like I avoid Selkirk, or I avoid Nike just because that's the mainstream brands, and this is one of those paddles where
like stick it to the man,
kind of stick it to the man feel a little bit. Like I go get this It stands out.
And everybody's like,
it's
what's
loud.
that? Yeah.
Everyone's like, what's that? And then you just whip them with
And
it.
you're like, it's the Nightshade.
It's like you got to be in the know to play this paddle kind of deal, you know? Like you're not playing with this if you're an average, you know.
It's like when a guy walks onto the court with the Montes shoes. You're like, you watch YouTube.
Yes.
Like,
yeah. So this kind of gives you like the counterculture like kind of vibes, but no, really, really solid. I think they did a good job with this, and performance to price ratio, like the value is really strong with this one. The elongated, you can tell I didn't hit this one as much.
I didn't hit it. That's funny. I didn't like it as much either.
But it had a swing weight of 116 and a twist weight of 6.01. And I'm sure it kind of shares a lot of the similar attributes with the elongated shape. But I think that hybrid, it kind of fills a need in that budget friendly space with a thinner core hybrid option. And so really strong, a really solid all court paddle. I think that's a fun one. Okay, we'll finish with Q&A. We'll cook through these and call it good. All right, first question from Rice Wine Vinegar. Pros and cons of a 5.25 inch handle versus a 5.5 inch handle. I'll speak to this one. So two paddles that came to mind in comparison handle lengths was the Carbon 1X, 3X, and then the Perseus and Magnus.
Yeah,
so these are both paddles that are built the same. They're both elongated. Everything's the same about them other than the handle length. One's 5.5, one's 5.25. When you look at the numbers, the longer handle tends to be more head heavy and less has a lower twist weight. Whereas the shorter handle is gonna have a stronger twist weight and it's gonna have a little lighter swing weight, which is it makes sense, right? Like you have the more material down the bottom corners, it's gonna stabilize it a little bit. It's gonna shift the weight down, give you a little lighter swing weight. So performance wise, that's what's going to change numbers. Of course, power. I think I can get a little more off of longer handles just because you have added leverage on overheads when you're swinging through and snapping.
I notice it a lot more on overheads because I'll choke down and I feel like I get way more whip out of a longer handle.
Definitely. So, yeah, you get more leverage with the longer handle. There are some of those changes. With the sweet spot, it's going to be a little more forgiving with the shorter handle. I think if you don't play any two-handed shots and you don't need that 5.5 inch handle, I think 5.25 is
really
good.
Giving up too much.
You're not giving up too much. But you're actually going to get some performance gains
in the twist,
in the twist weight, and you have a little more, just paddle surface down there. And so, but it's not. I'm not going to go win or lose a game because I'm playing with a 5.5 or a 5.25. It's just really subtle. It's for me. It primarily just comes down to what's comfortable in my hands. I like that. I like the 5.25, 5.3, 5.4 range. 5.2, 5.5 up can be a little too long for me. I think if you go above 5.5 when you get into these like 5.7, 6 inch handles, I do think you lose more than you gain there. I think 5.
So bigger's not always better.
Yeah, bigger's not always better. I'm glad you know that, Kyle.
Got it. That's what I tell myself.
Next question is from Jake Porsche. I think that's Porsche. Not Porsche. It's not Jake Porchy. His main paddle is 6.0 DBD. He wants more power and spin, but same sweet spot. Any recommendations? What about you? It's not the same sweet spot with this one. I think the sweet spot's a little stronger on the DBD.
I haven't hit a DBD in a while, so I can't remember. Was it a pretty decent sweet spot on a DBD?
Yeah, it's good. My first impression was, or first thought was J2K.
Spin. Yeah, J2K is a good one.
It's going to give you actually a little bit better forgiveness. You're going to get a little more firepower out of the J2K. It's spin. It'll be a new paddle, so you're going to get more spin, but it's not necessarily an advantage spin-wise.
How's the Invader stack up against the DBD numbers-wise?
The Invader is another good one.
Yeah.
It's going to give you a little more offense.
Because that fiberglass gives you definitely, I don't know if it gives you more power, but it definitely gives you pop.
Yeah.
Once you get into that layer.
Yeah, that's another great one. The Invader is going to give you some of those exact benefits he's looking for. The same shape, same sweet spot, a little more offense.
Yeah. It actually the Invader might be a bigger sweet. Well, it's going to have that softer feel from the PET.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference between J2K and Invader is feel.
Just the feel, yeah.
The Invader feels more plush. You do get a little more offense out of the J2K, but it's not huge. but the J2K is more forgiving and a little bit lighter. So those are the kind of the trade-offs between those two. But I think one of those two are really good options for an
flip a
upgrade
coin,
in power.
Jake.
Yeah, for that one. Last question is from Slug Route. Will we get 300 plus paddles with all these tariffs?
We already have 300 plus paddles.
$300 plus paddles.
Yeah, no, I mean, we already have $300 plus paddles. Thanks, Selkirk.
This is already a thing. But are we going to get more of them? You know, with tariffs, I'm not going to pretend like I understand all of that stuff because I don't. But I don't think we're going to see anything immediately.
I don't either.
I imagine a lot of these brands are going to probably just negotiate these prices with the manufacturers and just kind of split the cost.
Exactly. Absorb it. And I also think like when you're looking at like a value brand where they're already like way less meat on the bone, you might see those go up before you see some of these brands, I think, that have a little more meat on the bone. And the bigger brands are going to have more negotiating power with the manufacturers in China to get that cost per unit down. So I don't know. I could see some of the smaller brands having to increase their costs a little bit, and some of the bigger brands maybe we'll see a slight increase. But I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna put a $260 paddle to $300. No way.
No. It'll. I mean, down eventually we'll likely see a little price increase.
Yeah.
It makes sense that it'll be on the cheaper paddles more so than the expensive. So maybe we don't see more $300 paddles, but maybe we see the 100 paddles be 120.
Exactly, and those $160, $170 paddles maybe
200-ish.
180 to 200-ish.
But that'll be as things develop.
But even without tariffs, we've been in pickleball for a while. Paddles have increased year after year anyway.
Just anyways.
Yeah. So
for no good reason.
I don't know what
they just like pricing it higher.
It's almost like let's see how much we can get them to buy. Because I remember when I bought my first expensive paddle, it was $150, and it was like
felt like a lot.
You spent $150. Like everybody's like, you're crazy.
The margins on paddles are good.
Yeah.
The brands are spending, depending on volume. From what I understand, anywhere from $20 to $40.
I don't think it's that high.
A paddle?
I don't think it's that high.
Even if
I think it depends on the construction of the paddle.
Yeah,
a lot,
even within that range, the margins are pretty good on these things, and so But
I do know shipping has increased a ton, and like there's other costs.
Factors,
like everybody's like, oh, that's a unit. So like,
right, there's a lot of hidden costs. Right, you have admin costs, you have shipping, you have returns and marketing.
Yeah.
There's obviously a ton of stuff.
They lose another 10% to us using codes.
The margins, the margins aren't like horrible though. But I like that. I think that makes sense. We'll probably see it affect more of the smaller, lower price paddles. And I don't know. The tariffs are weird. You know, how long are they going to last? It's actually a really tough position, I would imagine, for brands. Do you start looking for new manufacturers in the U.S. to try to save on costs, or do you try to absorb it? Do you try to split costs with the Chinese manufacturers? How do you approach it? You can't just change your supply chain overnight, even though the tariffs change overnight. And so it's this really tricky spot for brands to navigate. And no one's just going to make immediate switches, right?
Yeah.
It's going to take some time, some research, and we'll see what happens, but that's kind of first impressions. I think you nailed it. All right. For the people who are smarter than us with tariffs, let us know what's actually going to happen.
That's a good point.
Who understand global economics.
I'm sure there's somebody on here who's like, you guys got it all wrong.
You guys are freaking idiots. I am an idiot in that space, so I would accept any judgments there. All right. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys.
All right. Have a good day.
Week.